Stuart, back now, was there a break useful for you and the team?
It probably came at a decent time for us. I think we'd probably won one or two of the injuries just to have accelerated back to full fitness a bit quicker than probably it has done. That's not through anybody's fault. It's just sometimes time can be a healer, and it depends how quickly that happens. But I think it was probably at a stage where we were carrying quite a few injuries, which we have done really for the last number of weeks. And it just gives us a wee chance to reset. It allows us to get the players to get a couple of days off, but it also allows us to go and do a bit of work ourselves, to make sure that we're continuing to try and forge forward and try and become a better version of what we've seen. We think the standards have been really good, but we also think that we can get better.
Celtic this weekend then, what's your expectation with the noise that's surrounding them at the minute?
I've said this a few times. I've faced Rangers and Celtic so many times over the last however many years, and there always seems to be some story or some narrative that everybody wants to latch onto and jump onto. I don't listen to it for a second. I keep saying I've brought up in kind of West Central Scotland, and I've seen it since I was a young child. The one thing that I do know with Rangers and Celtic's obviously the most important one for us this weekend because that's their opponent. They're a top side. You continually say it. They've continued to win trophies time and again, and that's because of the standard that they've set. They've raised the bar. They've been able to sustain those levels. Whatever the case is and the argument is and the discontent is, it doesn't detract in any way, shape or form from my respect for what they are as a team, for the manager, the coaching staff, top players, and that's what I fully expect this weekend. And for me to start thinking any other way would be incredibly naive. So it's safe to say that our players know that we're playing against the team that has set the bar for so many years, and we know it's going to be an incredibly difficult day.
Your full focus will be on your team, obviously, but the Celtic fans are planning a late entry as part of a protest. Is that something that could be disruptive to the game?
Nah, I think I've seen a couple of these types of things before. If that's what happens, and I'll take your word for that's something that's intended or may happen. But as I say, we've seen similar things before with other clubs. But I think what people need to understand for myself and for my team, but I think probably for the opposition in Celtic, your focus at that time when it comes to 3 o'clock on a Sunday, as it will be, is solely on your job. I don't think you listen to or start to think about that exterior noise. So it doesn't become a factor. I don't think for anybody. You've got to concentrate on your job and do that to the best of your ability. And then off the back of that, if you can find some sort of advantage or you can find something within that period of time, then so be it. But it's not something we'll discuss as a football club.
4 draws coming in to this game just before the break. Is that something that you've had time to kind of fine tune and what you need to work on?
Well, you say fine tune. I think you can get lost in the sense that there's been so many clubs that have spoken about the turnover of players, new managers, new ways of thinking. Trying to change certain aspects at football clubs. I think it's suffice to say that we've done not too bad with the turnover of players, the change of manager. We've certainly had our challenges in and about that. It's not that I'm saying that it becomes a negative, but there's a lot of challenges in there. What you're able to do in the transfer market, what you're able to, how many players you're able to bring in. That number's been decent for us, and we've had good backing here. But it's not just been as simple as clicking your fingers and bringing players in. Maybe thinking we could have got 1 or 2 in on the last day, didn't quite materialise. These types of things, losing players through injuries, changes your way of thinking. So there's been plenty of challenges in there, and I think for us to be sitting here unbeaten in 9 games, 9 competitive games, isn't a bad place to be. But I would also say to you that I think that can be better. Absolutely it can, and I think for Kilmarnock fans, I think they can rest assured that we are striving to win games. Those draws, we would love to be more points, but again, me just to sit here and click my fingers and tell you that's what it needs to be and that's what it's going to be. This is such a tough league. Every game we've faced has had its different challenges. Some I could make a case that I feel we could have won them. There's been other occasions where you're playing against real good quality and the opposition have chances within that as well. So try and find a balance to make sure that we're difficult to play against, but try and continue in that vein where we've been a decent threat in front of goal and getting a reasonable spread of goals, and try and make your own wee bits of luck within there that you can convert that 1 point into 3. But as I say, that's going to be magnified this Sunday because it's going to be a big test.
Last one from me then. Anyone coming back injury-wise?
But we're more or less the same group. We've got a couple of things to look at with a couple of the players that have been on international duty, and we need to assess that. So yeah, I think without giving too much away at this point, the numbers of available senior players will be roughly the same, but in what order, we'll just have to wait and see over the next day or two.
Just touching on the international duty, Stuart, how proud are you as a manager to see David Watson taking the armband for the Scotland under-21s?
It's terrific, it's great. I was at the game on Tuesday. What a good side they played against in Portugal. They were excellent. And when you start to peel the layers back and you see the value of some of these players and the money that's been spent on some of them, it was always going to be a big task. But I think we as a football club, me as a manager, having been in here a relatively short period of time, you're proud to see one of your own being the captain and wearing that armband. I thought Davey, as he always does, he worked incredibly hard. He showed those leadership skills that he shows here on a daily basis, albeit that he's young. So yeah, I'd passed his family at one point. It's obviously a proud moment for David, his family, and also for the football club.
Yeah, it's a reference point for the football club as well, and for the young players that are coming through, as well as, you know, your Ben Brannans and stuff, to see where they can go. How excited are you with the young players that are here?
I've kind of said that since day one. I think it was part of my first interview when I was announced as manager. I think a lot of people look at it and you see a team that's won the Youth Cup. I did say that I already knew that there was talent in the building, but also know that there's a large amount of work that needs to be done from those players in conjunction with ourselves to try and get them into a position where they can make that jump, that leap into the first team. Hopefully you guys will see that that's already been done. Let's not forget, David, not last season but the season before, was Scotland's Young Player of the Year, deservedly so. But then you like to see the introduction of Ethan Brown and Ben Brannan being a couple. You've obviously seen a couple of our other young kids, and Archie Traynor, Aaron Davis, these types of lads been in and about things. Not to mention the ones that you won't see on a daily basis, the amount of young players that train with us and work with us on a daily basis. So I put my cards on the table from an early stage. Everybody knows that I'm somebody that likes to try and empower and introduce young players, and I trust them, and they can make mistakes, but I'll continue to trust them throughout scenarios. I'm not fearful of leaving out a senior player and an experienced player to introduce one of the young players. But again, it's not another time where I stand in my soapbox and start preaching about it. I've got really strong views about it. I do, about what that could and probably should look like for clubs in Scotland. And I think it's suffice to say that my intentions and ideas lined up with the football club when I first came in. Hence why everybody asked me the question, and everybody probably has that anticipation for young players to be in the squad. But they have to do something to earn it, because I've always said that I will not play them unless I feel that they're capable of doing so. Don't want to hamper their development and their growth in the game either. So there's a few things that need to marry in for that to happen. But I've been especially pleased with the three young ones that we speak about, and David and Ethan and Ben, what they've shown to give themselves a chance.